This is KGW News at noon.
Thank you for joining us here at noon. I'm Christine Pitawanich. Let's start with a live look at our Newport and Timberline sky cams. Definitely a gray, wet day out there. A continuation of some of our rainy weekend weather that we saw. Here in the Rose City, looking pretty similar. There is a wind advisory, though, until 10 p.m. for the Willamette Valley from Eugene up into Clark County. So the windy weather that we're experiencing has caused some power outages. This is Portland General Electric's outage map. Right now, there are 56 outages affecting nearly 1,200 people. Earlier this morning, a big outage in the Jennings Lodge area in Clackamas County affected more than 2,000 customers. It delayed school for the Gladstone School District by 2 hours. Again, because of those outages, Head Start early childhood classes have been canceled today at the Clackamas County Children's Community Center. Now let's bring in meteorologist Rod Hill. Rod, I know you also mentioned thunderstorms earlier.
Yeah, we've had a lot of lightning detected today. So far, it's been more along the coast. And especially up around Astoria. You showed our folks the Timberline camera, 32 degrees up there, snow on the ground at Timberline. The passes are fine. The snow level this afternoon about 5,000 feet. It'd be kind of a wet snow mix potentially at times over some of those higher Cascade passes. Well, big low has migrated away from us up to the north. Now that should help curtail thunderstorm chances. But look at this disturbance caught in the flow right here. So more heavy rain areas absolutely expected. And Christine mentioned the wind advisory posted from the Weather Service up until 10 p.m. this evening. So here's the radar. We've seen some lightning down around Eugene, Roseburg, south of Newport this morning, but nothing inland. Where you see the bright colors, though, absolutely some heavier rain pockets. And we'll continue to see these heavy rain pockets embedded throughout the afternoon, showing very little change on Futurecast through 5:30. Here is that wind advisory from Eugene right up I-5 into Clark County for potential winds gusting as high as 40 or 45 miles per hour. So far, we have seen winds in Salem to 35. Right now, McNary Field showing a south wind to 28. Pretty fall scene down in Oregon City, but it is very wet. That's the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. You can see the raindrops on the lens and the winds blowing the flag along the Willamette River. We're at 58 degrees. Temperatures are going to be mild this afternoon. Christine, all of this starts to wind down, but not until overnight tonight. That's ahead of my complete forecast.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Rod.
We provide an amount that gets each school to an identical amount of funding per student based on formulas, and then it's up to the districts to figure that out. So we cannot, never have, shouldn't, probably can't statutorily or constitutionally go in and give any one district extra funds.
That was Senator Elizabeth Steiner speaking on why the state cannot step in and offer additional money to Portland Public Schools. Members of the Portland Teachers Union and state legislators met in Salem this morning to discuss the state's role in the ongoing Portland teacher strike. This after the Teachers Union and the district failed to reach a deal over the weekend. Bargaining is expected to continue this afternoon. In their own press conference this morning, the superintendent for Portland Public Schools outlined steps that the district would have to take to meet the union's demands.
However, making further investments, like in our workforce, now requires either increased revenue or dramatic budget reductions.
No new contract means no school again today for tens of thousands of kids. And many families are relying on local organizations and nonprofits for childcare. Ashley Grams has the details.
For some Portland students, this November feels more like summer vacation.
Well, we have 45,000 kids right now that are out of school.
People were starting to ask if we had kind of an option for daycare.
Day camps are popping up across the metro area, giving students who are out of school due to the strike a place to go.
I think a lot of parents were pretty shocked that the strike went through, and yeah, I think there's a little bit of scrambling going on.
Eric Carlson is the director of Electronic Music Club. The group normally meets with students in over a dozen schools after class. But once the teacher strike started, the district closed schools and the club had to find another place to meet.
Thankfully, we've had a really great relationship with Unity of Portland, the church that's up the street, and we've done summer camps there before.
Vibe of Portland did the same thing, stepping in to offer day camps for PPS students.
Tomorrow, we've got a full day of 9 to 4 art camps for kids that aren't going to be in school.
Both Carlson and Markham say it's important for local organizations to support families.
There's such a need for it. I mean, we're helping out our community. So many parents have to go to work and suddenly they're without childcare.
It helps provide a little sense of continuity for children while this is kind of an uncertain and strange time for them.
You can find a list of day camps and childcare options at kgw.com. In Portland, I'm Ashley Grams, KGW News.
You can stay with us for continuing coverage of the Portland Public Schools teacher strike. We'll update you as soon as we learn more about negotiations this afternoon. You can look for the latest here on air, on KGW.com, and streaming on KGW+. And Yamhill County workers are also picketing today ahead of another bargaining session tomorrow. Workers have been on strike since Friday over what they're calling unfair wages. Many of them say they're not able to afford housing in Yamhill County, and some say they qualify for government assistance because of their income. The county says the union has not provided data to support their demands and offered two options to the union last week. The union did not accept either. The county says in the meantime it is working on plans to limit the strike's impact on critical services. Portland fire investigators are trying to figure out what started the fire at a northeast Portland home this morning that killed a 66-year-old man. The call came in around 4 a.m. with a report of an explosion. When crews got to Northeast 120th and Broadway, they put the fire out and found the man dead inside the home. Another person was taken to the hospital with minor burns. Here's Portland Fire spokesperson Sean Whalen.
It did get reported that the house was fairly cluttered. I wouldn't say it was to the point of what we sometimes call hoarder conditions, but cluttered conditions. And then, of course, you guys are here. The access is a little tight. The roads are. It's not a dead end, but it's one way in, one way out for the most part, and tight conditions.
So as for the explosion we mentioned, Portland Fire says oxygen bottles led to that explosion. There were also no working smoke alarms in that house. Portland police have released the names of two 19-year-olds killed when a MAX train hit them over the weekend. Caleb Banzer is from Boring and Braden Fear is from Hillsborough. So this all started when one car crashed on I-84. Investigators say a piece of it flew into a TriMet restricted area near Northeast 28th, and the two people inside the car climbed over a barrier to retrieve it. That's when a MAX train hit and killed them. This is the 59th and 60th traffic-related deaths this year in Portland. Portland police also investigating a shooting in North Portland that left one woman dead in the Cathedral Park neighborhood. Officers responded to this shooting around 5:30 yesterday morning. They found the woman dead when they arrived at North Crawford Street and Alta Avenue. So far, no arrests have been made. This is Portland's 60th homicide this year. And former President Donald Trump was back in a Manhattan courtroom today to testify for the first time in the $250 million civil fraud trial against him and his companies. New York's Attorney General alleges the Trumps have been exaggerating their business assets for years. In court, the former president said a disclaimer clause in his company's financial statements would prevent him from getting sued. Trump dismissed the trial as politically motivated.
So while Israel is being attacked, while Ukraine is being attacked, while inflation is eating our country alive, I'm down here.
There were tense moments, including the judge telling Trump's attorneys to control their client. The judge has already found Trump and his company massively overvalued his assets to get better loan deals from banks and insurers. The court is now working to determine what penalty, if any, the former president must pay and if his conduct may have violated other laws. The former president's sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, testified last week. His daughter, Ivanka Trump, is scheduled to testify Wednesday. A federal judge in Oregon has issued an unprecedented order for all counties to release anyone who's held in jail for more than a week without representation. The order takes effect in 10 days on November 16th. KGW investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi has a closer look at the judge's order.
Oregon's public defender system is broken. Simply put, there aren't enough lawyers to do the job, leaving low-income defendants in jail without representation. In essence, they've been locked away without a voice, being too poor to afford an advocate to speak for them in the courtroom, Judge Michael McShane wrote. On Thursday, the federal judge ordered all counties statewide to release criminal defendants from jail if they've been held without a lawyer within 7 days of their first court appearance. Clackamas County District Attorney John Wentworth.
Someone could be released despite the best efforts to keep them in custody.
Judge McShane's ruling expands on an earlier decision this summer that required the release of criminal defendants only in Washington County. It highlights a statewide problem. Oregon's public defender system, which provides lawyers for those who can't afford them, has been underfunded for decades. In late 2022, we went to the Washington County Jail to speak with some of those unrepresented defendants.
You have a constitutional right to have representation.
Yes, sir.
You're not getting it?
No, sir.
What does that mean?
It means I'm scared. It means I'm nervous. I'm being pushed through the system.
The legislature has approved funding and structural changes in Oregon's public defense system. But Judge McShane and some local DAs admit there's no quick and easy fix.
There is more oversight that's needed to address this. I know the legislature is working on it. I know the governor is interested in it. But at the end of the day, people shouldn't sit in custody without legal representation. That's just not the country we should be living in.